come over to the window, my little darling.
Leonard Cohen är en av våra största och mest betydelsefulla sångpoeter sedan 60-talet och framåt. För 4 år sedan försvann han plötsligt och det kom inga nya sånger. Han hade gått i kloster. Och det är här, högt uppe i bergen, ett par timmars bilresa från Los Angeles, som han har bott och levt ett mycket strängt klosterliv de senaste åren. Jag är på väg dit flera timmar försenad eftersom väskan har kommit bort i flyget. Så jag ringer och är orolig för att han inte ska ha tid. Men han svarar med sin vackra, djupa röst. Ta det lugnt. Jag ska se till att du får något varmt i dig när du kommer fram. Och kör försiktigt, för det är dimma.
Now, seriously speaking, if you would like to rest, there's a little bed in there.
Well, you know that I love to live with you. But you may...
I've got whiskey.
Whiskey, please.
There, now you're talking.
Чисто английский.
That's a little opening.
I'm soft as a pocket.
Just a guy. That is fine.
Wish to lose the respect for people.
So this is the room we come to in the very early morning after we have our tea.
So how many hours do you spend in here?
Well, there's close to an hour in the morning, and then during the session, an hour in the afternoon, and then another hour listening to the old master. So during the retreats, close to 3 hours a day. Meditation, in most of people's minds, has a goal. You want to get somewhere. This kind of meditation, the assumption is that you're already there, and you just want to manifest that reality that you already embody. So you're not trying to get free or trying to go someplace. You're just trying to be what you really are.
How do you sit when you do your meditation?
Well, we sit on a cushion like this, or we sit on a bench, but the idea is to find a position that supports the back. So generally, if you make a kind of tripod out of your body where your knees will be 2 feet of that tripod and your butt will be the other. Some people sit in different ways. It's considered that like a good full lotus is considered like the best kind of position.
Would it be to have my skirt, otherwise I would do it myself.
Yes? Well, go on, do it. Please do it.
Well, not with the skirt.
We'll pull your skirt up. We'll give you a robe.
So why did you flee from this place the first time you came here?
Well, first time I came here, I was in real trouble. The head monk was German. And they were waking me up very, very early in the morning. We were building this dining hall over there or repairing it, and there were no windows, and the snow would come in over your rice, and you'd be walking through the ice in sandals, and they'd be beating you in the zendo, and I thought...
Why beating you?
Well, it appeared to be beating me at that time. When you'd fall asleep or you'd doze, your posture would decay. They'd come over with a stick. I'll show you that stick, and they strike you very sharply, twice on either shoulder. It felt like getting beaten to me. Anyways, it all seemed like the revenge of World War II. They'd gotten a bunch of American kids up here and were torturing them to death. I didn't want any part of it, so one day when they were filing out for lunch, for breakfast, I just dropped out of the line, and when they were sitting down here, I sneaked below window level down to the parking lot, got in my car, and drove down to Mexico.
What made you come back again?
A sense of something unfinished, sense of something vital, something that would keep me alive. You have to have an experience that is not of the world in order to enjoy the world.
So you couldn't enjoy what you
now.
had? But you could not enjoy?
I have it all now.
So when you had it, you couldn't enjoy it.
But
And now you can enjoy it and you don't have
I
it.
don't have it.
So which is worse?
It's both are pretty good.
But you seem happier now.
Yes, I feel okay these days. I like being up here. It's a good life. It's a rigorous life. It's a severe life. But, you know, if I didn't have these kinds of rules and regulations, I'd be lying in bed watching television, scratching myself. I need a lot of order and a lot of form.
Why do you need that hard discipline?
I don't know. I'm just lazy and self-indulgent and full of self-pity. I just need a lot of fences and hedges and regulations and rules. Otherwise, I just collapse into some kind of relentless form of useless self-examination.
You were experiencing discomfort all the time. You were
discomfort, you know, from discomfort, you know, to anguish, to deep, paralyzing anguish, for no reason at all, one thought, you know. Red wine was pretty good.
red wine.
Yeah, red wine was pretty good in addressing this problem. But, you know, you can't stay drunk forever, although I did try, but it really doesn't work. It's just another kind of medication that doesn't work. It works for some people. I know some people who have managed to stay drunk their whole lives, and they really do it well. You know.
You took a lot of drugs too.
Yeah, and they work pretty good, you know, temporarily. The problem is that they don't work on any ongoing basis, so you know, they just wreck you and make you feel worse. That was my experience with it. So it's experience like that that brings you to this kind of hospital up here in the mountains, which is a place where you start again at the beginning. You learn how to sit, you learn how to walk, you learn how to eat, you learn how to be quiet, you learn how to sit still, and you have the opportunity for self-reform, to put the thing back together again. Yeah, a lot of people who think that I've changed my religion, you know, look very suspiciously or even scornfully or even express great disappointment that I've abandoned my own culture, that I've abandoned Judaism. Well, I was never looking for a new religion. I have a very good religion, which is called Judaism. I have no interest in acquiring another religion.
So long, Marianne, it's time that we began to laugh and cry and cry and laugh about it all.
This is very sweet and soft.
Yeah.
We don't get this very
No,
often.
it's very nice climate. Do you watch TV?
Well, we don't have any TV up here.
No.
But I love TV.
Mm-hmm.
Now, let's get down to business, kid.
Yeah. But we're in a monastery, you know. I was a bit surprised to...
I know, this is terrible. I don't know why I've let you Swedes corrupt me. I knew you'd get me to drink.
What does your master say about this?
It's very good to drink on a cold day.
It's cold today?
Yeah, well, you know, a rainy day.
When it rains.
A rainy day, a rainy day. When one isn't working, you know, and one is entertaining, it's entirely appropriate to drink. In fact, it would be a great breach of hospitality if I didn't offer you something to drink. If you want to keep a bottle of scotch in your room and take a nip now and then and still follow the regime, you know, letter by letter, well, you can do that. If you want to keep, you know, a chocolate bar in the corner of your room and, you know, and eat something besides our very, very good vegetarian, fine, you know. if you want to fall in love with a beautiful young nun, you know, and somehow you can incorporate this into your practice, go ahead, you know. It usually doesn't happen that way. Usually that bottle stays for a year, you know.
Even in your...
Even in my cabin. You know, people are worried that I'm not working hard enough or suffering enough, I know, or that I'm not following the regime as strictly as I should, but let them rest assured I am. Even though I smile from time to time and raise my glass, I am suffering sufficiently and I am following all the rules.
Okay. So tell me about your suffering, please.
No, I can't. Well, I'm not permitted while I'm being host. It would again violate the rules of hospitality to tell you how bad I feel.
I don't like your fashion business, mister. And I don't like these drugs that keep you thin. I don't like what happened to my sister. First, we take Manhattan. Then we take Berlin.
But you had it all. You had what a lot of men are striving,
right.
struggling, trying so hard to get.
That's right.
You had the success, you had the money, you had the fame, you had the women.
Not enough.
Not enough?
No.
Is that the reason why you ended up
That's
here?
why I quit. Yes, I mean, the cover story looked very good. It seemed that I had, you know, I think people could legitimately say, like, what's he complaining about, you know? Yes, it's true.
But why were you complaining?
I don't think I was complaining, you know. I was just saying, ouch, because it hurt. I tried everything that they had, you know.
Like?
Well, the things that you mentioned, you know, wine, women, song, money, career, drugs, art, every kind of extravagance, every kind of restraint.
And what helped?
Everything helped in its way in the sense that it said, this doesn't work. I think that's the greatest help you can get from anything, is to find out that it doesn't work. Because nothing works. Nothing in this human realm is meant to work. So once you can deeply appreciate that, for one thing, the mind of compassion grows. And if you understand that everybody's up against it. I remember reading some works of Simone Weil, a French woman who lived in France during the war, and she said there's only one question worth asking anybody, and that question is, what are you going through?
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 Well, you know, when I look back at my life, I see that it was very contracted. Now, maybe in relation to other people, it was expansive and it was free and it was admirable. Maybe it really was that, you know. But a lot of the time from the inside, it felt, it didn't have anything to do with ambition. It wasn't that I wanted to make it. It wasn't to do with money. It wasn't to do with fame. It wasn't to do with, it wasn't even to do with love. It was just some fundamental sense that this was not flowing with the authentic motion. There was something stopping everything, you know. I had that feeling very, very deeply until you know, recently. Now, I mean, of course it changed. I'm often in a concert, you know, and I laugh about this, but it doesn't make it any less true, you know, with a couple of bottles of red wine under my belt and a good band and good songs. The good songs that I wrote, they're not bad songs, they're good songs. You know, I know all that. And sometimes with the love of the audience, you know, the interest, and you know, looking at the faces of people that are looking at me as I'm singing, and everything is working, you know. I felt completely at home and completely at the center of something that was creating love, you know, something, the very source of things. I felt very, very good. That's what kept me touring.
Wasn't it enough?
It was too dependent on things. You know,
On success, on that things went well?
Well, things had to go well, you know. I mean, it's a terrible feeling. I never took a concert casually, and I don't think any musician or singer I've ever worked with has taken one of our concerts with anything but real seriousness. So if it doesn't go well, you do feel that you've betrayed yourself, and you've betrayed people, and you've wasted their time, and you've wasted their money. You know, it's a very bad feeling. It's a very bad feeling. On the other hand, when it goes well, it is as I've described it. But besides all that, you're dependent. You're dependent on the wine, dependent on the applause, dependent on the song, dependent on the love.
Suzanne takes you down to her place near the river. You can hear the boats go by. You can spend the night beside her, and you know she's half crazy.
This is the dining room?
But
This
that's
is our
why
dining
you wanna be there. And she feeds you tea and oranges that come all the way from China.
But now you're cooking for everybody here?
At the moment, yes, but there's only about 9 people, 10 people here. It's a small group.
The last group was about 40.
Yeah, there were more than, but then I had a lot of help.
40, how many was it for dinner?
So Sharon, we had, I think, 43 last time.
43, 3 meals a day, and cookies at night. That was a lot of work. Well, can we eat?
Please.
And you want to travel with him, and you want to travel blind, and you think maybe you'll trust him, for he's touched your perfect body with his mind. Now Suzanne takes your hand and she leads you to the river. She is wearing rags and feathers from Salvation Army counter.
But why did you decide to go into a monastery? I mean, a lot of people experience this anguish that you went through, I gather.
Well, I consider myself extremely fortunate in that I bumped into this practice a long time ago, and I was able to taste it. I was able to experience something that I had experienced nowhere else. It was clean. It didn't have any dogmatic information. Nobody told you anything. You were invited to work this out by yourself. You were given some guidelines, and more importantly, you were given the living example of a very human, of a very human guy and an old man who had already experienced and resolved these questions, who had resolved these questions at the fundamental level of consciousness.
But you never believed in therapy.
I never believed in therapy. I don't say I never believed in it. I was never. There didn't seem to be the moment when I wanted to go into it. It didn't. It seemed to. There seemed to be some flaw in the reasoning. Now I know therapists will say, like, he's in denial and he is trying to, he's trying to delay the moment when he comes to us.
It's going to be pretty late.
It may be so.
Well, my friends are gone and my hair is gray. I ache in the places where I used to play, and I'm crazy for love, but I'm not coming on. I'm just paying my rent every day in the Tower of Song. I said to Hank Williams, how lonely does it get? Hank Williams hasn't answered yet, but I hear him coughing all night long.
Leonard Cohens texter är alltid mycket personliga och handlar ofta om hans eget liv. Han är född i Montreal i Kanada i en judisk familj för 63 år sedan. Som ung var han en mycket lovande författare innan han vid 32 års ålder debuterade som sångare och låtskrivare. Leonard Cohen har 2 barn och han har bott mycket på den grekiska ön Hydra där han också har suttit och skrivit de flesta av sina texter.
Yeah, there was, quite a lively group of Scandinavian writers when I first arrived in Hydra. There was Axel Jensen, and there was Göran Tunström, and there was Son Axelsson. And Göran Tunström and I, we started writing our first books together at the same table in my house.
But he's still a writer, and you passed through a lot of stages.
Oh, terrible! I mean, I'm a traitor. I'm a traitor to the craft. Göran Tunström, polished his talent until he, stands on the brink of the Nobel Prize, where I became, just a vulgar, popular singer.
Are you really a writer who failed his...
Completely. I'm a writer who failed his promise.
Mm-hmm. So what are you?
But I have a new book over there, you see that?
Yeah?
I think I might be able to redeem myself.
Is it true?
Yes.
So you are writing now?
I don't know. I'm blackening pages, but I don't know if it's writing.
You're very humble.
As I think it was Gore Vidal said about Jack Kerouac. He said, that isn't writing, that's typing.
In what ways have you experienced love in your life?
Oh, wow, wonderful love. I had wonderful love, but I did not give back wonderful love. There were people who loved me very, very deeply and very genuinely, and I was unable to reply to their love.
Why?
Because I was obsessed with some fictional sense of separation that I couldn't reach across the table for it. I couldn't reach across the bed, I couldn't reach across the moon, I couldn't reach across my song. I couldn't reach and touch the thing that was being offered me. And it was being offered me everywhere, and is always being offered everyone. It is offered at all times, at all moments. And we create a fictional barrier, we succumb to a fictional disease, and we buy into a fictional separation from the thing we want the most, which is a sense of ourselves and a sense of being at home with ourselves.
Do you get that feeling now?
Yes, a lot. But nobody can live, that's God's world. God's world is the world in which there is no separation between you and anything else. But as my old teacher says, you can't live in God's world. There's no restaurants or toilets. So you have to leave God's world and be in the human world.
What is love to you?
Well, love is that activity that makes the power of man and woman, that incorporates it into your own heart, where you can embody man and woman, when you can embody hell and heaven, when you can reconcile and contain, when man and woman becomes your content. In other words, when your woman becomes your own content and you become her content, that's love. That, as I understand, is love. So that's the mechanics.
What does that mean, that she becomes your content?
She becomes what fills you, and you become what fills her. And you recognize the full equality of that exchange, because if she's smaller than you, she can't fill you. And if you're larger than her, you can't fill her. So there has to be an understanding that there really is an absolute equality of power. Different kinds of power, obviously different kinds of magic, different kinds of strength, different kinds of movement that's as different as night and day. And it is night and day, and it is the moon and the sun, and it is the land and the sea, and it is plus and minus, it is heaven and hell. It is all those antinomies, but they're all equal. They're all fundamentally equal. So you cannot have a woman as your content. She can't fill up every space in you where she must be, unless you understand that she occupies the same cosmic space as you do, and you occupy the same cosmic space as she does. Then there can be an exchange, and then there can be love.
Did you experience this?
I've experienced it, but not. Yes, I have experienced it. I have experienced it, but you know, those are the experiences that make me want to start again. You know, with, you know, go back. You know, when I grow up and go to college and
do it all over again, but in another way.
Right. Because it's very sweet when you see it done right. You don't have to change the world. There doesn't have to be any revolutions. You know, it doesn't really matter. You know what is going on around you.
Do you still have the longing to live, you know, the old-fashioned
yes,
family
I do.
life?
I do. You know, but it's crazy. You know, so and sometimes I think about, you know, what career should I take? You know, sometimes you forget that you're living in this 63-year-old body. I find myself speculating now more and more as I feel more and more healthy, and experience more and more energy, and the world looks brighter and brighter in some sense on some days it doesn't. But because I feel those currents running through me, I start to forget that this mental activity is enclosed in this body that should be is not at all appropriate. You know, I think, find some nice girl and marry her. You know, some nice, you know, 22-year-old girl, marry her. You know, find a nice little house. I know I could really enjoy that now. A nice little house with a lovely tablecloth and some nice crystal, you know, and a little money coming in. And I'd know how to treat a woman now. And if we had children, I'd really enjoy them, not like the first time around where, you know, I really had to push myself into some mold that I didn't feel I was naturally in. I did my best, and, you know, thank God they've turned out okay. But, you know, now I think, yes, I'll find that wonderful young girl, and we'll have that tablecloth, and we don't need a big house, because I know now that riches and big houses and all those things mean nothing. I know that the only thing that counts is to express love and respect, and to bend your knee before the object of your love, so that she can bend her knee to you. You know, I know that now. I didn't know that.
So why don't you do it?
Well, I don't, you know, I feel that it's not quite the right moment. You know, maybe next time around.
You're not quite ready yet.
Well, I don't feel it's really appropriate now, because I'm not, you know, 25 years old. Sometimes I feel I'm 25 years old, and that's what I should be doing. You know, and then I should choose a job, not a job like a singer or a writer, not one of those jobs in the arts, you know, where the competition is ferocious and the you know, the whole situation is scornful and it's dicey and it involves you in investigations of yourself that don't lead anywhere except into sorrow. I don't want to be one of those people. I know what they're like. I wouldn't go near that, you know. There's lots of good jobs.
Like?
Simple jobs. You could work in a bookstore, you could be a librarian, you could, you know, there's lots of stuff.
Dance me to the wedding now, dance me on and on. Dance me very tenderly and dance me very long. We're both of us beneath our love, we're both of us above. Dance me to the end of love. Dance me to the end of love. Dance me to the children who are asking to be born. Dance me through the curtains that are...
Your relations to your kids and to your ex-wives or women. Have they changed after you entering the monastery?
That's hard to say. I don't know if anything changes, especially, relationships that are really screwed up. It's pretty hard to straighten them out. But yeah, something does change, It's hard to put your finger on it.
Do your children ever come here?
Sure, on visiting day, they sometimes come up. My son called me up a few weeks ago and asked me, and he never asks me for any help. He said, "There's just one line, Dad. One line in a song I can't get. Could you help me with it?" He says, "I've really been sweating over it." How wonderful. And what a wonderful afternoon we spent. He came up with a sandwich from down below, and we had I had my second lunch with him. And, we sat outside, it was good weather.
Could you help him?
Yeah, I gave him a couple of words. He just needed a word or two, and that's what we're both doing. We're both
He was close to death a couple of years ago.
Yes, he had a very serious car accident. He was running around with a black band in Guadeloupe.
But he survived, but you stayed with him for a couple of months when he was in hospital. How did that change
About 4 months. About 4 months.
What happened to you during this time?
Well, the thing that happened to both of us is that we were able to get very tight. Those kinds of experiences, they resonate very deep in everybody's heart. It's hard to say exactly what they change, but you do find out something about, the human body and the frailty, and you find out something about courage. Not just love between you and the other person, but, what human beings are capable of. I mean, I saw this kid who was smashed completely, and there was a very strong psychic element in his recovery, both involved with my love, with his understanding of my unconditional love, my understanding of his incredible courage, and his incredible effort. So there were very deep and mysterious human mechanics of the love and of the heart going on, which I wouldn't even presume to describe. But they certainly had a part, in the healing.
Attachment? Is that something you are thinking about?
Oh, there was just one funny moment I just remembered when my son was in intensive care, and he was very smashed, and they didn't really know what to do yet. They were just examining him and wondering what approach to take to the damage. And he was on large amounts of morphine, and he was in and out of consciousness. And I was reading the Bible out loud to him. I was sitting by his bed reading the Bible, and he came to at one time, and he turned to me, and he recognized me. He says, "Dad, could you read something else?"
I guess that was a happy moment in your life. Did you?
Oh, we're drinking and we're dancing and the band is really happening and the Johnny Walker wisdom running high. And my very sweet companion, she's the angel of compassion. She's rubbing half the world against her thigh. And every drinker, every dancer lifts a happy face to thank her. The fiddler fiddles something so sublime. All the women tear their blouses off and the men they dance on the polka dots. And his partner found and his partner lost, and it's hell to pay when the fiddler stops. It's closing time. Yeah, the women tear their blouses off and the men they dance on the polka dots. And his partner it's hell to pay when the fiddler starts. It's closing time.
A very long time ago you said that women were the salvation for mankind, that they had the brains and the power and the men were kind of, what was it, playing or artists, joking around.
Gossips.
Yeah, gossips, exactly. And the sooner the women took over, the better.
Right. Well, now that they've taken over, we can judge whether it's better or not. I may have been wrong.
But do you mean that women have equal strength to men, or do you mean that they are stronger?
Men and women have exactly equal strength, but it really wasn't acknowledged that way. It really, I mean, lip service was paid to it, and everybody would say that men and women are equal. But now, in men's hearts, they really understand that they are dealing with power at least as great as their own.
Are you happy with this?
Yes, I'm very happy with it. For Janis Joplin, Chelsea Hotel.
I remember you well in the Chelsea Hotel. You were talking so brave and so sweet, now giving me head on the unmade bed while the limousines wait in the street. And those were the reasons, and that was New York. We were running for the money and the flesh, and that was called love.
You have given so much to so many people. So if you now are feeling so fine and you are not interested in creating any more of this stuff, isn't this very sad for the rest of the world?
Well, I don't think it's too sad, because you and I know that the stuff's already been created, so there's no danger of it being uncreated.
But the source is still there, the well is still giving water.
You know, I think that those poems and songs I wrote then, you know, have a certain value, and the poems and songs I'm singing for you right now have another kind of value.
But does it mean anything to you? What kind of impact you have on the world?
You know, it's hard to discuss the very serious things, but yes, it does mean something to me. Because I get mail, you know, not a tremendous amount of mail, just a little mail. But I get it from people who tell me that my songs are useful. Someone will say, you know, they played my song, If It Be Your Will, at their friend's funeral. Or they played, you know, Dance Me to the End of Love at their wedding. Or, you know, Hallelujah got them through the night. Or their mother, you know, listened to my records as she lay dying of cancer right to the last moment. I mean, I see that they moved into the world and were able to be useful and helpful, and it makes me feel good, because it's important that you feel useful, you know, and I do feel that the things have been useful.
But now you are releasing a new best of album.
Yeah.
Are you not going out to
tour with it?
Yeah.
No.
Why not?
Well, I can't interrupt these studies here, you know.
I was very surprised when I came here and you said, well, they're going on this record, you know. I don't give a shit. I never heard an artist say that
It's
before.
not that I don't give a shit. It's not that I don't give a shit, because, you know, there are people who are spending their time and their money and their energy to do it. I don't in any sense want to convey the fact that I'm scornful of the activity. It's just that I'm involved in an activity now that cannot be interrupted. It's too important for me to interrupt it, and it's too important for whatever future work I might do. It's too important for the health of my soul, and the time is limited. Old Roshi, his time is limited, he's 90. My body is going to decay naturally over the years. I'm not going to be able to do this kind of, I'll be able to do another kind of practice, yeah, but this one here, on this mountain, with these kinds of rules and regulations, which I understand so intimately, and which I understand the value of so intimately, you know, I won't be able to do that very long. So time is like an arrow. I mean, the thing is moving very, very quickly, you know, and it's like the Hebrew saying, if I am not for myself, who will be? And if not now, when? You know, but if I am only for myself, what am I? So all those questions are answered, but I don't think it's a moment for me to climb down the mountain, abandon this investigation, you know, put a band together, you know, go out on tour. No, I don't think that's the moment right now.
No.
And please forgive me. And I say this to my listeners, you know, please forgive me for not going out with a band at this moment. But I'm trying to learn some things and trying to get myself into a shape which I hope will result in songs that are deeper and better, and you know, maybe on that basis I'll be forgiven.
I'm sure. So we're done.
We did it?
So what do you want to say to the Swedish people?
No, I already said everything I need to say. You can speak for me, okay?
Okay, no, you can speak for yourself very well.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Put it there, kid.
Nice talking to you.
It's a pleasure.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Please come again. I hate to see you
Okay.
go. This is terrible. This is a terrible moment. Okay.
Separation. Moment of separation.
It's a moment of separation. Okay, so let me take you to your car.
Okay.
See you later.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Are you driving?
See you later.